be considering about teaching English in China, and why not? It's a beautiful country and there's so many amazing opportunities there at the moment. I've been teaching English as a foreign language for about 4 years, and I taught in China for about 10 months. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 bits of advice that will help you when teaching in China. Tip number 1, you might want to consider whether you want to teach in the private sector or the public sector. I taught in government schools. I've always taught in government schools, and I think they're so much fun, but you might prefer teaching in private language schools or private international schools. That's something you need to consider. There are pros and cons for both of them. You may want to research more about them. Private schools tend to have smaller classroom sizes, whereas government schools tend to have large classrooms. It's entirely up to you what sort of environment you want to teach in. Like I said, I prefer government schools. I think they're a lot more fun and crazy. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you advice on government schools. Tip number 2, like I said, government schools tend to have large classrooms, and they may have between 40 to 50 kids in each class, and you may have up to, I don't know, 10 to 15 different classes. So that's a lot of students you're gonna have when teaching. Don't worry, it's fine, you can do this. It's a lot of fun, and you just need to have little strategies in place to keep the classroom management under control. I would recommend when starting every class, particularly with the small kids, the younger kids, to clear their desks at the beginning of every single class. They like to fiddle with things, and they like to do their homework, or they like to play games or whatever, and they will always have stuff to fiddle with, and they will probably take it out during the class. However, try and just clear the desks, and that will just reduce the risk of them fiddling with things. Also, I would recommend putting them into teams to help with classroom management. So the classrooms tend to have like rows of 4 or 5. Put them in teams, allocate them points, and give them a good reward system throughout the whole class. Be consistent, so do it every single class, and this will help with the classroom management. Tip number 3 is technology. In China, a lot of schools, particularly in the cities, do have computers in the classrooms. Some have interactive whiteboards, and some of them just have projectors. It's great. You can actually use PowerPoints as your lesson plans. I was very lucky, and my school that I taught in had interactive whiteboards, and I made PowerPoints for every single lesson. You have large groups of kids, and you want to keep them entertained and engaged. So putting up really interesting materials, interesting sort of pictures, interactive games, all that sort of stuff will keep them engaged. Now, there are a lot of websites out there that help you with this. I'm going to post some websites below that will help you with finding lesson material. There's a really good website that I used to download a lot of PowerPoints for interactive games. They're all set up for you already, and they're really great fun to do with your kids. However, make sure that you don't completely rely on technology, because there were points where the computer decided to crash, or it just didn't work, or there was a virus on it, and they're like, teacher, no, it don't work. I'm like, okay, and then I had to do a backup plan within my head without the use of a PowerPoint. So be prepared. If your USB gets infected or the computer doesn't work, be prepared of having a backup lesson. And if you're in the villages, so the outback of China, then the likelihood of you having this sort of equipment is lower. However, I'm teaching online now to a lot of different schools throughout China, and a lot of the schools do have this equipment now. They have webcams, they have the microphones available, and they have the computer and the projector and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, in China it's great, they love their technology. So this moves me on to tip number 4. Get a VPN. You might ask, what is a VPN? Well, when you're in China, you're going to connect to the internet, and you're going to connect to the Chinese internet server. Now, if you didn't know, in China, a lot of stuff is blocked. You're blocked from Facebook, you're blocked from Instagram, you're blocked from Google. And what I found is that a lot of the really useful teaching websites were blocked. And so the VPN really saved my life. I downloaded lots of stuff from YouTube. Oh yeah, YouTube's blocked, right, by the way. And I downloaded a lot of content from other teaching websites. And so what I really recommend you doing is getting a VPN. You can buy them, you can get free VPNs, I think. Just invest the money into a VPN. It's not a lot of money. I think it's like an annual fee. I will post the link to the VPN provider I used. They were really helpful, and if I had any problems with them, I just messaged them and they got back to me within like 5 minutes. But I highly recommend getting a VPN before entering China. Tip number 5 is communication. A yes may mean a no in China. They don't like to upset you, they don't like to make you angry, so they don't tend to say things straight up to your face like we do in our own Western culture. This tends to happen all across Asia. It's something that I've learned how to deal with. You're gonna have to learn to deal with. The organization and communication within China can be a bit different to what you would expect in your own Western culture. It's just how it is. You're just gonna have to adapt, get on with it, and start to kind of let go a little bit. And it is what it is. You can't enforce your own sort of conditioned Western sort of standards that you've been brought up into another country. You are a guest in another country, you're a guest in China, you're gonna have to adapt to how they run the country. So yeah, that's something that might be a bit challenging, but you know, just giving you a heads up. So there are my 5 bits of advice when teaching in China. You will absolutely love it. It will change your life forever. It completely changed me. Don't be scared. Get out of your comfort zone and just do it. If you don't want too much of a culture shock, then stick to the big cities. So for example, Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen. I taught in Ningbo, which is just below Shanghai, a great city to live and work in. And yeah, but if you want to go far out and, you know, really experience the culture, then go out into the villages and the sort of mountains and that. But yeah, there were my bits of advice. If you like my video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, any questions, any video suggestions, then please write your comments below this video. Thank you for watching and see you soon.